You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do? Doctor, will it be okay? You got the kind of stuff that makes my day. Doctor on the air, you got
Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. So this is a no-brainer. They say financial hardship hurts the brain. It may age our brains faster. I'm glad we're spending money on studies such as this, but these are the studies we're getting. I'd like to find a cure for cancer. I'd like to find the cause of autism, but you know what? Yeah, we'll take what we can get if this is what they're studying. But there's some interesting points I want to bring up with this latest study. So the study was done by the University of College London. They looked at 2,759 UK participants from the MRC National Survey of Health and Development who were born in 1946. And adults who faced persistent financial hardship showed poorer cognitive performance and signs of accelerated brain aging later in life. They say adults who reported this performed worse on cognitive tests that assessed verbal memory and processing speed. They said those who had persistent low income also showed poor brain health based on MRI scans, which measured markers of aging like brain shrinkage and enlarged ventricles. So the study author, Dr. Jacques Wells, from the Unit for Lifelong Health and Aging at UCL, told Fox News, while we know that cognitive decline is associated with both genetic risks and adverse childhood experience, we knew very little about what happens during the life course, particularly the experience of persistent financial stress over a lifetime. They say the study clearly demonstrates that the accumulation of poverty is linked to cognitive decline. We used different measures of life course financial adversity and different measures of cognitive decline, and they all show the same results, which makes the results solid. So the associations were strongest in men, people who had disadvantaged childhoods, and carriers of the ApoE4 genetic variant. We know that genetic variant is linked to a higher risk of Alzheimer's. So, yeah, in addition to genetic issues, in addition to individual behaviors and choices of what we might eat or drink or smoke, yes, chronic stress can cause cognitive aging. But the reason why I bring this up, even though we've brought this up before, and this isn't, the newest earth-shattering science, is I believe we're going to see more poverty soon. With AI eliminating jobs, employers not wanting humans making themselves unemployable when they don't want to come to work, they want to work remote, they need time off, they want, like the Democratic Socialists of America are asking for, 5 full paid days a week, but only come in for 4 or only work for 4 days. You're going to see more and more people struggle. They're not going to get that job. The idea of, well, I could go to high school and get a high school diploma and that'll guarantee me a job, or I'll go to college and that'll guarantee me a job. There's no guarantee anymore. And so this reminds us that financial stress and financial hardship can further evolve our general population into having more individuals with cognitive decline. And those with cognitive decline, if they can later get jobs, will struggle. I mean, look at Joe Biden. We've seen cognitive decline firsthand. Even if you haven't seen it in your family members, we've seen it on a national and global scale. It's frightening. And so we want to do what we can to eliminate it. Well, telling people to stop smoking, having people control their smoking, having people control their alcohol, having people control their food behaviors and what they eat, having people exercise more. I love those because we have control. We can't change our genetics, though. And sometimes we can't control our financial positions. And dementia and cognitive decline is concerning. And if you're stressed, yes, that's going to put you at risk. Now, I have friends, family members, they're financially fine and they just stress out over everything. There's always drama in the family. There's always something going on in the family. But it reminds us that we really, really, really need to control our stress. And we need to try to limit it. And so looking at this, financial hardships, remember we talked about this a few days ago, where you have individuals that really do have financial hardship, right? They have to rely on the state welfare, CHIP benefits, SNAP benefits, and they struggle. They don't know when their next meal is going to be. They don't know where their next home is going to be. We have homeless populations. But then we also have this population that is complaining about capitalism, wanting to promote socialism, saying they are upset that they can't financially make it. But these individuals have a home. Whether it's a house or an apartment, they have a home. They have food. They have iPhones. They're getting their nails done, their extensions done, getting their tattoos, going out, going to the club, dating, having their Wi-Fi. But they feel like because they can't upgrade their phone or they can't go to Japan like their buddy did on Instagram, they then complain that they have financial hardship. We need to reach out to those individuals and say, look, okay, don't stress don't stress the little things, because it's going to add miles. It's going to add miles to your heart. It's going to add miles to your organs. It's going to add miles to your brain. Be happy with what you have. We have to work together to figure out how we're going to employ people, with this AI issue. And I think we employees did it to ourselves because we asked employers for too much after COVID. You want us to come back to work? You need to give us this. Employers are like, okay, I'll do what I can. But as soon as I can find another alternative, you're out. And that's what they've done. They found other alternatives. So we're going to have a lot of people stressed, a lot of people at risk for cognitive decline. So we need to get on that. Work on your diet, work on your sleep, work on relaxation methods, and work with your family, the family that's not toxic, all right, to find solutions to prevent financial hardship and this kind of stress. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's Aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877-Doc Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Doctor spelled out. Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So, dad jokes. A couple years ago, I told you that dad jokes may be good for you. Well, we have another study saying when you hear a dad joke, let it be. Let it happen. You know, dads would make a joke and then make a bad joke. And dad jokes are jokes where they're so bad and there's a pun or something, but they're funny and little kids will laugh. And little kids think dad is funny and they think mom is, me. That's what I thought my dad was so funny. His jokes weren't even funny. But he would say something that would be, especially with his accent, how come the bird, he'd use a bad word, poop in the woods because they don't have toilet. I'm like, it's good. My mom's like, that's not even a joke. Yeah, right. Why did chicken cross the road? Right? Toilet paper on the other side, and he just took a break. I can't say the word. So I thought the jokes were funny. And my mom would be like, we'd look at my mom as, gosh, she was mean. And it's no, because she's trying to get stuff done and she doesn't have time for dad jokes. But dad barely have the time to do the dad jokes. And so studies have shown that the oxytocin, the hormones causing bonding will spike. Also decrease cortisol. Let me see what else. Let me give credit where credit is due. According to a study published in SciRxiv, it's an open access preprint repository for psychology research. Fox News is reporting that psychologists Paul Sylvia and Mariel Burnett found that humor looked at the health benefits of because it'll decrease stress hormones like cortisol, epinephrine, the laughing, and the trying to figure out the puns and using the creativity. You get dopamine surges, serotonin surges, endorphin surges. So dad jokes are a good thing. According to a study back in 2023, which is what we talked about on the show a couple years ago, in Plus One, it found that a single laughter session could slash cortisol levels by more than 36%. This drop in stress lights up regions like the prefrontal cortex, helps your brain process complex ideas. So why don't we now do some dad jokes? Okay, because I know a lot of you are like, you know what? I just got through and I didn't. I just got through Father's Day and I didn't have any dad jokes. Okay, so these are gonna stink, but they're dad jokes. Okay. What does a baby computer call his father? Data. I'm sorry, I like these things. All right. After an unsuccessful harvest, why did the farmer decide to try a career in music? Because he had a ton of sick beats. I only seem to get sick on weekdays. I must have a weekend immune system. Okay, I like these. I'm sorry. Sorry, the segment is dad jokes. If you don't like the dad jokes, leave. My friend was showing me his tool shed and pointed me to a ladder. He said, that's my step ladder. I never knew my real ladder. Okay. What do you call a Frenchman wearing sandals? This is according to Reader's Digest. Oh, no, Men's Health. These are dad's jokes from Men's Health. What do you call a Frenchman wearing sandals? Philippe Flop. Why is it so cheap to throw a party at a haunted house? Because the ghosts bring all the booze. I get that one. That's a good one. Yeah. That's a good one. I don't get why Marvel doesn't use the Hulk to advertise anymore. He's basically one big banner. All right, Bruce Banner. What kind of underwear do scientists wear? Kelvin Klein. See, you need to know Kelvin. It's a chemistry joke. Okay. Which days are the strongest? Saturday and Sunday. because the rest are weekdays. I just found out I'm colorblind. The news came out of the purple. Instead of came out of the blue, it came out of the purple. These are good. I wish my dad had good jokes. Do you know your pupils are the last part to stop working when you die? Why? Because they die late. Right? Die late, yeah. Let me see. That one looks dumb. Okay. Hold on a second. How do cows stay up to date? How do they stay up to date? They read the Moose paper. What is the... Oh, this is so dumb. What is the difference between a well-dressed man on a unicycle and a poorly dressed man on a bicycle? Attire. I hate my job. All I do is crush cans all day. It's soda pressing. Where do pirates get their hooks? Secondhand stores. Of all the inventions in the last 100 years, the dry erase board has to be the most remarkable. So that's not good. They say in America, using the metric system can get you in legal trouble. I don't get that one. Unless it's a metric, using the metric system can get you in legal trouble. I don't get that one. I don't know. If any of you guys get that one, let me know. What do you call a line of men waiting to get haircuts? A barber queue. Doesn't make any sense. All right. It's because these jokes are supposed to be stimulating your dopamine and serotonin and decreasing your cortisol. This is a healthy segment. All right. Look, you can either eat vegetables or you can listen to dad jokes. Okay. We're doing dad jokes right now because I can't give you any vegetables. Who were the greenest presidents in U.S. history? The greenest. Who were the greenest? The Bushes. My hotel tried to charge me $10 for extra air conditioning. That wasn't cool. What do you call a beehive without an exit? Unbelievable. If I ever find the doctor who screwed... Oh, my gosh. If I ever find the doctor who screwed up my limb replacement surgery, I'll kill him with my bare hands. Did you know that the first French fries were cooked in France? The first French fries were not cooked in France. They were cooked in Greece. People will always do Greece. That's just, yeah. This morning, Siri told me, don't call me Shirley. I accidentally left my phone in airplane mode. So that's the airplane movie. If you didn't know the airplane movie, you wouldn't, whatever. They say it's easy to convince ladies not to eat Tide Pods, but harder to deter gents. Deter gents. Okay, get it. I asked my date to meet me at the gym, but she never showed up. I guess the two of us aren't going to work out. How do you find... Oh, okay. They have here, this is under Men's Health. How do you find Will Smith in a snowstorm? You look for Fresh Prince, right? DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. So Prince, okay? Yeah. The difference between a numerator and a denominator is a short line. Only a fraction of people will understand this. I found a wooden shoe in my toilet today. It was clogged. I just broke up with my mathematician girlfriend. She was obsessed with an X. Okay, I like that one. That one's a good one. I can't take my dog to the pond anymore because the ducks keep attacking him. That's what I get for buying a purebred dog. To whomever stole my... I've heard this one before. To whoever stole my copy of Microsoft Office, I will find you. You have my word. What's Forrest Gump's password? 1Forrest1. Come on, guys. I used to run a dating service for chickens, but I was struggling to make hens meet. Like ends meet. If prisoners could take their own mug shots, they'd be called selfies. Have you heard about those new corduroy pillows? They're making headlines. Stupid. If a pig loses its voice, does it become disgruntled? Want to hear a joke about paper? Never mind, it's terrible. So stupid. A panic-stricken man explained to his doctor, "You have to help me. I think I'm shrinking." "Now settle down," the doctor calmly told him. "You'll just have to learn to be a little patient." What do you call a bundle of hay in a church? Christian Bale. Okay, you know what? I think after a period of time, the dad jokes start to hurt. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. So I have friends of mine who are in the most amazing shape. Am I in amazing shape? Nope. I exercise every day. I watch what I eat, but I'm not in the shape I need to be. I used to run. I used to ski black diamonds. Not with my knees. I'm not in the shape I want to be in. But I see my friends, and the ones in really, really good shape, they bike. And they tell me that they have e-bikes so that if they do want to go long distances and want to do inclines, they might utilize the e-bike. So it's a great way to get back into biking. Well, I fall. I love to skate. I love to roller skate. I love to ice skate. I love to bike. I love to skateboard. But I fall. And I have been avoiding biking, which is an amazing exercise. Way easier on your knees and back than running. But I worry about the falls. And I've been kind of questioning myself, going, am I being a weenie? Do I really, need to worry that much? Why can't I just wear my helmet and my pads? I'll be fine. Well, this latest study kind of backs me up here. I'm not crazy. Apparently, trauma cases in New York City emergency rooms have risen 50% and more by the year 2023. In Detroit, Michigan, according to Fox News, they're also having an uptick in serious incidents related to e-bikes. We just had somebody in my neck of the woods die on an e-bike. Police are seeing a rise in these e-bike crashes. Doctors as well. I'm seeing them with patients as well. And so some communities are starting to restrict e-bikes or ban them altogether. Now, some of these e-bikes can reach speeds up to 28 miles an hour. You're not in a car. You don't have the protection. You don't have airbags. 28 miles an hour on an e-bike, you hit the ground, you could die. Fox 2 Detroit spoke with emergency room doctor Robert Sherwin of Detroit Medical Center. He says he sees everything from minor injuries to major trauma related to these e-bikes. He says these class 3 bikes are probably more like motor vehicles They travel up to 28 miles an hour, and a lot of riders aren't expecting that, might not be experienced in that. These e-bikes are heavier than regular bikes, and they travel much faster. But the human body doesn't change just because a bike has a motor. There's a local bike shop owner, John Hughes, suggested that the real issue has always been sharing the road with cars. He says cars aren't looking out for bikes. People don't respect bikes as a form of transportation, and that's where it gets dangerous. There's a ton of traffic out there. Everyone is on their cell phones or texting and driving constantly. I am not a fan of cyclists on the main road. I like cyclists. I have friends that are cyclists, but I see this all the time. There's a bike path, but they don't ride the bike path. I need to talk to cyclists as to why they don't. In fact, one of my friends is a cyclist, and I asked him about that, and he's like, we prefer to ride in the street. And I go, you mean that double yellow line in between traffic? Is that your bike lane now? No, it's on the side, on the right side. But I'm like, there's a bike path. The bike path is there so you don't accidentally hit my car and I don't accidentally hit you. And it's interesting, too, because, I always give them the right of way. But there's a lot of people that aren't expecting a biker or somebody on a bicycle to then be making that turn or being there. And so bicyclists know they have the right of way over cars, but I think many of them forget that cars don't know they're there. I remember I was in New York City walking back from, going uptown and downtown and all over the place. And I come back and a bus had just hit a man on his bike and drove off. Didn't even know that he hit a guy on a bike. And he's on the ground and he's, and so we called over the fire department that was across the street, but they were working on a fire at the time. So we waited for paramedics and we tried to keep him stable, but he wanted to get up. He didn't want to stay in cervical spine precautions. But I'm like, these buses don't recognize you. They could hit you and not stop because they don't know. A friend of mine died from a bike accident years ago. His wife was battling stage 4 colon cancer. He was riding a bike in a fairly near a fairly busy intersection, and apparently he drove near a bus that accidentally sucked him in, and he got killed. So I want you guys out there exercising. If you can't jog, if you don't feel comfortable walking, but you want to be on a bike, I think a bike is incredible. It gets you everywhere, especially in New York. You go everywhere. John F. Kennedy Jr. went everywhere on his bike. These bikes are an awesome mode of transportation. But unfortunately, I've seen time and time again, serious injuries. So e-bike rider Cam Kaysen told Fox 2 Detroit that he takes his e-bike to work at school. He says it's sufficient. Way better than a car, in his opinion. He says when you don't have to spend $30 or $40 just to get some gas, use the e-bike to get where you need to go. In New Jersey, a new law enacted this year requires e-bikes to be registered, and riders must be at least 15 years old and possess either a valid driver's license or an e-bike license to operate one. I agree with that. And why? Well, because the law was enacted amid growing concerns because there were e-bikes crashes. Supporters think that the licensing, the helmet, the registration requirements would promote reasonable riding and reduce bodily harm. And, the other person that I believe the Detroit news station interviewed made a good point. I know how to ride a 10-speed that I learned in the 1980s. That's way different from an e-bike. I mean, almost e-bike, you need to have motorcycle training. The average person that gets an e-bike isn't trained on it. They know how to ride a bike, but do they know how to manage fast speed? 15 miles an hour is fast. You could do some heavy damage if you hurt yourself at 15 miles an hour, let alone 28. A study published in the journal Neurosurgery found that medical emergencies involving pedal-powered and electric bikes and scooters accounted for nearly 7% of trauma patients admitted to the NYC Health and Hospitals Bellevue. That 7% is huge when you look at car accidents, when you look at falls, when you look at gunshot wounds. 7% because of these bikes? They say 1/3 of the 914 patients treated for injuries involving pedal-powered electric bikes and scooters suffered traumatic brain injury. More than 2/3 required hospital admission and about 30% needed intensive care. Back in 2018, only 10% of the cases were related to electric bikes and scooters. Now that has increased to over 50%. The most common cause of the injury wasn't that they hit an uneven surface. It was that they collided with a car or truck. And get this, according to Fox News, fewer than 1/3 of the riders wore helmets. This was linked to a significantly higher rate of brain and facial injuries. One study found 20% of patients tested positive for alcohol, which was associated with more severe head trauma and lower rates of helmet use. You're not allowed to drink and operate a boat. You're not allowed to drink and operate a car. You're not allowed to drink and operate an e-bike. Pedestrians struck by electric vehicles also suffered brain injuries, nearly twice the rate of riders. That's according to an analysis of about 70 pedestrian cases. So, you got busy urban settings. People might not have a car. They might not be, and I understand New York City, you have bikes. Really hard to get around. If you don't want to do the subway, if you're afraid to be pushed into a subway, I understand people are going for bikes. But there's just too many variables out there. And I really, really wish there was a safer way to do that. So keep in mind, if that's your mode of transportation, try to find a safer way. Learn, go slow, and understand that the average pedestrian, the average person in a car, motor vehicle user is not trained on somebody on a bike that's going faster than a few miles an hour. Be safe out there. 1-877-DOC.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Welcome back to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you so much for joining us. So Sharon Stone, actress Sharon Stone, has opened up about withdrawing from weed and how it was terrifying. And she had to see medical specialists because she was quitting marijuana. And I like it when celebrities open up about things like this. I don't like it when celebrities give medical advice. But when something like this happens, where Sharon Stone is like, look, this is what I struggled with. It really humanizes our celebrities. It makes people understand that, they aren't the only ones struggling. They're not doing it because they're not rich. Even rich celebrities who have everything at their fingertips struggle too. And so I'm glad she opened up about this. And this was during an interview with Variety. And she said her decision to quit was driven by a desire for a drug-free life. But she was withdrawing so badly, she had to see a neurologist, a specialist of the nerves. She says, quote, and because I think they put so much stuff in it now, they really do, when I stopped smoking pot, I also got sick. She says, I got pretty sick for a month. I went to my neurologist and he said, Sharon, I've had people dying in the emergency room for marijuana. Now, I need to talk about that. Even though marijuana there's not a lot of evidence of marijuana killing somebody, like an overdose. Yes, there are ways where people could die linked to marijuana. So I'll review that in a second. But going back to Sharon Stone, she attributed the ordeal to how potent our current weed is. This isn't your grandfather's joint. I mean, this is different. She says, it's not like you're pulling it out of the ground anymore. It's not like when we were kids. She said, I never smoked pot as kids. But she said, experts note that cannabis withdrawal, though not considered life-threatening, can be related to some severe symptoms, which I'll talk about. But a concern we're having is how these THC levels, not the hypnotic and hallucinogenic, but the more the more brain enticing part of cannabis is your THC, and it has surged to as high as 30 to even 90% of some people's marijuana, where back in the 80s it was only 3 to 5%. So this marijuana has gotten stronger and stronger, and people might not realize they're dependent on it. I've had patients that'll call up saying, I'm nauseous. I'm nauseated all the time. Or I have anxiety, or I have depression, I have poor sleep. And I'll ask them, do you use marijuana? And they'll say, oh yeah, that's the only thing that helps. And I'm like, when was the last time you used marijuana? Last night or this morning. And then I ask, how often do you use it? Daily. Did you ever think that maybe the marijuana could be causing the nausea, could be causing the depression, causing the anxiety? Oh, no, because I feel worse without it. Well, if you feel worse without it, that might mean you're withdrawing. We have allowed a market of really high potent THC, marijuana. And when people use it daily, they gain a tolerance. They don't think it's working anymore, so they go and get stronger and stronger. It's addictive. And some people might not realize they're addicted to it. They're like, oh no, addiction is where you have to buy it off the street. It's illegal. So if it's legal, I'm not addicted. Are you using it every day? Do you start feeling ill if you can't? When you travel, do you panic that you don't have it? Do you get irritable? Do you get angry? If you don't get marijuana, are you able to still go to work, or do you have to call out? I mean, these are signs. It doesn't have to be all of them, but any one of them could suggest possible addiction. And so people don't realize, but you can withdraw. And the withdrawal symptoms can cause anxiety, depression, headaches, stomach upset, severe insomnia, irritability. And to go clean from marijuana, it could take weeks. I recommend you get your medical provider involved. I mean, these are, whether you're addicted to alcohol, whether you're addicted to opioids, whether you're addicted to benzodiazepines, you got to be careful with benzodiazepines and alcohol, because withdrawing from those, you could seize and die. You can't die from withdrawing from marijuana unless you hurt yourself or you end up making bad decisions, like getting in a car when you haven't slept for 2 days. So we keep hearing marijuana can kill, marijuana can kill. How does marijuana kill? Well, we don't have a lot of studies or evidence saying somebody can overdose on marijuana and die. However, we do have evidence that marijuana can be linked to heart attack. Marijuana can be linked to stroke. Marijuana could be linked to abnormal heart rhythms. It could be linked to impaired driving, poor judgment, workplace accidents, falls, psychosis, self-harm. We've seen people kill themselves because of THC and marijuana. We also saw that girl in California where she stabbed her boyfriend 108 times because she went into a marijuana psychotic state. So when you hear doctors saying, oh yeah, I'm seeing marijuana kill, they're not entirely wrong if somebody went into an arrhythmia, if somebody went into a heart attack, had a heart attack or a stroke because of the marijuana. And then if that's the case, then we have to really then reevaluate our studies, because if you smoke marijuana and then you have a cardiac event, just like you would with meth or cocaine, then we have to say it can kill. Just that. But because people are looking at it as, well, it's not like an opioid overdose. So yeah, but I do think there is that potential. What I see a lot of with my patient base that I see through telemedicine is a lot of the cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, where they use it and they use it every day, and then they just start getting nauseated and vomit. I consider that like a marijuana poisoning. You know how with alcohol you could drink so much that you start to vomit because the body is just trying to get it out of your system? I think it's a sign of the body trying to get the marijuana out of the system. And unfortunately, the vomiting could be so bad that you could get fairly dehydrated. And then your electrolytes could be off, and then you could go into abnormal heart rhythms. So yes, technically marijuana can kill, but we don't necessarily see overdose deaths from marijuana. People are taking their marijuana by edibles, putting it in their brownies, not only smoking it, but there's other forms that people are getting now, whether they're vape or whether they eat it. And so, people think, if I'm eating a gummy that's really small, I'm not addicted. Yes, you can be. And so Sharon Stone opening up about going through withdrawal, having to see a specialist. I'm glad she's done this. I'm glad she's talking to us about this. And hopefully she didn't relapse and she's able to stay off of it. But marijuana is just like alcohol, just like sugar, just like sex, just like gambling. It knows the brain can become very dopaminergic with use. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I've tried marijuana. Nothing happens. I always thought it was the Cheech and Chong giggly thing. Maybe I don't have the cannabinoid receptors, so I'm not a user. I'm not a fan. But for those of you that have been using it and you're listening to this and you're going, I use it every day, I would really talk to your medical provider about it. Because even though you're thinking, but I'm good right now, you might not be good 2 months from now or 4 months from now. Or if the company decides to mess with the THC component, and then you feel like it's worthless, so you buy stronger, more expensive. Be careful out there. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800 JBS USA 1 today.